Did you know that 50% of people get chills from music? Their brains are literally wired differently. I'm talking about goosebumps, shivers down your spine, tears forming in your eyes. It's when your brain floods with the same chemicals you get from things like amazing food or even falling in love. But the other half of the population? They feel absolutely nothing. Why is that? It's not about whether you love music or not. It's about your brain's wiring. I analyzed 32 scientific studies on musical chills, and the science is wild. This is the neuroscience of Frisson. Yes, it has a name, Frisson. It's a French word for aesthetic chills. It's that exact moment when a piece of music pierces your body and soul. Think about the choir entrance in a Bach cantata, the iconic key change in Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You, or the drop in Radiohead's song Nude. Scientists even created a playlist of over 700 songs proven to cause frisson, featuring everyone from Johnny Cash and Mozart to Metallica and Celine Dion. But here's the mystery. Why do some people experience these intense chills while others feel absolutely nothing? Let's start with what's physically happening. The technical term is piloerection. Your hair follicles contract, goosebumps appear, and you feel shivers or waves moving up your back, with tingling on your neck, shoulders, and arms. Your heart rate increases, your pupils dilate, and your skin conductance changes. This is your sympathetic nervous system activating, the same system responsible for your fight or flight response. So why does music trigger a response meant for regulating temperature? Scientists believe it's an evolutionary holdover. Our hairier ancestors kept warm through an insulating layer of air trapped by their body hair. Goosebumps temporarily raised and lowered that hair to regulate temperature. We don't really need that anymore. We invented clothing. But the physiological structure remained. So, evolution rewired it. Now, that same mechanism responds to emotionally moving stimuli like art, beauty, and especially music. Frisson isn't limited to music. You can get it from beautiful paintings, powerful speeches, moving film scenes, or even profound insights. But music is by far the most common trigger. A 2018 meta-analysis showed that music induces frisson more consistently than any other stimulus. Interestingly, there are two types of frisson: positive chills from rewarding things and negative chills from threatening things. A horror film score can give you chills of fear, while a beautiful symphony gives you chills of awe. It's the same physical response, just a different emotional context. Frisson is brief, typically lasting only 5 to 15 seconds. It's intense but fleeting. In lab studies, participants press a button the moment they feel chills, allowing scientists to track exactly when frisson occurs during a song. These moments are surprisingly predictable. In a piece from Bark Street Matthew Passion, almost everyone gets chills when the choir enters after 80 seconds of orchestral tension. And during Susan Boyle's famous Britain's Got Talent performance, researchers documented mass frisson at specific moments across millions of viewers. What's even wilder is that some people can trigger frisson voluntarily, with no music or external stimulus at all, just by thinking about it. The physical mechanism is clear, but what's happening in the brain? Researchers at the University of Southern California brought 20 people into their lab, 10 who regularly experience musical chills and 10 who never do. They played the participants' favorite songs while scanning their brains with an MRI. The structural differences were obvious. People who get chills have a higher volume of neural fibers connecting their auditory cortex, the part that processes sound, to the areas that process emotion. More fibers mean more efficient communication. The auditory system and the emotional system talk to each other faster and stronger. A 2019 study in the Journal of Neuroscience found that people who experience frisson also have a larger auditory cortex overall, and their neurons are more broadly tuned, meaning they're more reactive to a wider range of sounds. They're literally more attuned to what they hear. The lead researcher, Matthew Sachs, said that people who get chills have an enhanced ability to experience intense emotions, not just with music, but with everything in their lives. Now let's talk about what happens during the chill itself. Your brain's reward system activates, specifically a region called the nucleus accumbens. This area is responsible for pleasure. It lights up when you eat delicious food or feel a rush of excitement. Another part, the caudate nucleus, which is your anticipation center, activates just before the emotional peak. So during frisson, the caudate anticipates the moment, and then the nucleus accumbens fires during the release. You experience a 1-2 dopamine punch. Blood flow increases to these regions, and dopamine floods your system. Some people describe the sensation as a skin orgasm. Other regions light up too, like the insular cortex and the orbitofrontal cortex. These are hedonic hotspots, brain regions responsible for producing pleasure. Frisson isn't just one brain region, it's a whole network. Even the amygdala, your brain's threat detector, activates. This might explain why frisson can feel overwhelming, or even a little scary. It's a mix of awe and fear, positive and negative emotions all at once. So, who experiences frisson? Personality matters. People high in a trait called openness to experience get chills more frequently. A 2007 study found that these individuals also show higher creativity and intellectual curiosity. Musical training helps, too. Musicians experience frisson more often than non-musicians. But it's not just about training, it's about cognitive immersion, how deeply you engage with the music. People who actively analyze harmonies, structure, and emotion experience frisson more than those who just let it wash over them. Age also matters. Younger people tend to experience frisson more intensely, an effect that can weaken with age as neural connections naturally decline. Your emotional state is a big factor. If you're feeling stressed, nostalgic, or particularly joyful, you're more likely to get chills. And frisson is often tied to memory. Songs from our early childhood, when emotional memories are forming, can be especially powerful triggers. But there's a catch: habituation. A song that gave you chills once might not do it again. The brain adapts. Frisson requires an element of unpredictability. Once your brain knows exactly what's coming, that dopamine anticipation disappears. So how do music producers engineer frisson? Based on decades of research, here are the musical elements that consistently trigger chills. The first and most reliable trigger is the crescendo, building volume and intensity toward a climax. Classical composers like Beethoven and Tchaikovsky mastered this. Modern producers use the same technique: the build, the drop, the release. It's an ancient formula for dopamine manipulation. The second trigger is unexpected key changes. When a song suddenly shifts to a new key, it violates our expectations in a positive way. Think of Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You." That iconic key change after 3 minutes is a mass frisson moment. Your brain predicts what's coming, and when the music surprises you beautifully, dopamine floods your system. The third trigger is the entrance of a soloist. After an instrumental build-up, a single human voice or solo instrument enters. In Bach's Street Matthew Passion, it's the choir entering after 80 seconds of strings. With Susan Boyle, it's the moment she opens her mouth. It violates expectations and causes mass chills. Other triggers include unexpected harmonies, like the suspended chords in Radiohead's Nude, that hold tension and then resolve beautifully. Extreme dynamic contrast, going from quiet to suddenly loud, or vice versa, also works. Very high or very low frequencies can activate more neurons in your auditory cortex, leading to a stronger emotional response. And finally, when the lyrics and music align emotionally, like in Johnny Cash's Hurt, when he sings "What Have I Become" as the music swells. It's a moment of lyrical and musical catharsis. The formula is simple: build tension for 60 to 90 seconds, introduce unpredictability, and then release it with a crescendo, a soloist, or harmonic resolution. Producers who master this aren't just making music, they're engineering neurochemical responses. But it's not all about formulas. Personal music choices matter more than genre. Songs connected to your memories, especially from your teenage years when your identity was forming, produce the most reliable frisson as you age. Context is also huge. Listening to a film score in a theater creates stronger chills than listening at home. And live concerts can produce mass frisson, connecting thousands of people in a shared emotional experience. This research has real-world impacts, especially in music therapy. Understanding frisson helps treat conditions like depression, anxiety, and even dementia. For people who struggle to process emotions verbally, music-induced chills provide an alternative pathway for emotional release. So, to sum it all up, why does music give you chills? Well, only about half of us experience it, because we have more neural fibers connecting our brain sound and emotion centers. During that chill, your reward system floods with dopamine. The triggers are predictable: crescendos, key changes, and other beautiful surprises. Personality, musical engagement, and memory all play a role. Ultimately, frisson might be evolution's way of rewarding us for finding meaning and beauty in the world. It's part of what makes us human. Next week, we are diving into perfect pitch. Why can only 1% of people in the West identify notes without a reference, but nearly 50% of some musicians in Asia can? We'll explore the neuroscience behind music's rarest superpower. If this explained why you get chills from music, make sure to subscribe. We decode the neuroscience of sound every week. This is Beat Theory. Stay curious.